more and more we're seeing communications roles coming in with marketing. In fact, I was in Davos at the World Economic Forum only but a couple of weeks ago, and there was a round table of CMOs hosted by Salesforce.com, in fact the CMO of Salesforce.com. And as we went around the table, the vast majority of CMOs introduced themselves as Chief Marketing and Communications Officer. And it's the first time I'd seen that. It was no longer the minority. More than half had communications as well. And if you think about it, it kind of makes sense, doesn't it? Because in a joined-up world, in an internet world, how can you say one thing out of one side of the mouth and something else out of the other? And I think sort of pre the connected world, that did happen. So you'd have sort of corporate comms talking about one thing to, I don't know, to the investors and the financial markets. And then, the consumer market is saying something different over here. And now, of course, people join those two things up. So I think alignment and consistency of message has never been so important. And hence, bringing those two roles together, to me, is obvious. And it's getting more obvious by the minute. And certainly, if you're looking at, you've got your mobile and your phone and you're picking up things on one side, something about stocks and shares and news, and the other side is some consumer ad, as an individual, you're seeing in your hand information coming from different parts of an organization. So, get those lined up. I think some of the challenges is there are ways things have been done for a long period of time, some with good reasons and some with less good reasons, and challenging some of those, especially in big companies like Unilever, can be difficult. And one of the first things I did, getting into this role, was actually closing down the CSR department. And immediately people said, "Oh my God, this is what happens when you put a businessman in charge of CSR. Look what's happening." And what I was trying to make the point, and I think it's played out well, is actually we don't want CSR over there, doing some good to negate some bad that's happening over there in the world or in our business. And actually, what we really wanted to do was mainstream sustainability, mainstream environment and social responsibility. So we got to a situation where no longer was it sort of one playing off the other, but all brands, all countries. So when you look at the Unilever Sustainable Living Plan, it's not about some nice project in a community. It's literally all brands, all countries. And that sort of mainstream, I think, is one of the other bits I've learned on the way. Until you flip from a focus where there's a group of professionals looking after sustainability as a day job and everyone else sort of getting on with it business as usual. Until you flip from that to saying, actually, this is everyone's business as usual. And if you went to one of our investor relations meetings, you would see our category presidents, our cluster presidents, getting up and talking about sustainability as part of this is the way we do business, rather than a CSO, a corporate sustainability officer, getting up and saying, here's what we're doing. And I think that's a big difference and a big challenge in how you start embedding it into people's everyday jobs.